There are a ton of great modifications that you can make to your Infiniti Q50, whether it's the 3.7 or the 3.0T. Well, look at that. I'm working on the Corvette today, but I'm thinking about the Q50. Out of all the great upgrades to consider for the Infiniti Q50, there are two that I would really think about doing first. Okay, maybe three. Well, there's a third. I'll consider it an honorable mention, only because it seems common sense at this point, but you just never know. Common sense isn't that common. There's a lot of people that are very, very tempted to go right for those power increase modifications, right? Especially with the 3.0T, because it's so easy to make a bunch of power with very, very little in a tune. But I would say there are still a couple others that I would recommend doing first. Although it's sad, it is still very, very true. The flame map trend is stronger than ever. Whether it's a 3.7 guys or this 3.0T guys, everybody wants to do test pipes, lower down pipes in a tune and get those big old flames. But as fun as it might be, there are a couple of modifications that are even better, that'll benefit you much, much more. I was tempted to include suspension on this list, whether it's lowering springs or coilovers. Both are good options, to be quite honest with you. Some people have varying opinions when it comes to lowering springs, but a decent set of springs is much better than a cheap set of coilovers, I'll be honest with you there. Either way, it's gonna go a long way in improving how your car handles day to day, but also especially in the corners and those spirited driving situations, lowering the center of gravity, make it a little more nimble, a little more planted, reduce body roll. It all sounds well and good, but still, there are two others that I would even consider doing before messing with your suspension. I'll get to it. Now, you guys might think I'm just trying to sandbag you a little bit before I give you my two favorite modifications for the Q50 for 2026, but if you're keen, if you're wise, if you're open-minded enough, you'll realize that I'm just giving you more ideas for upgrades. Oh, okay, here's one of them. One of my favorite Q50 upgrades to this day is sway bars. You can go with Hotchkiss, that's my preference. There's a couple of other options out there on the market that you can consider. They're all sort of in that same price point. Nothing really stands well above or below another, so they're all pretty decent, but Hotchkiss knows sway bars. That's the business that they've been in for a long, long time now at this point, so you can't go wrong with them. They're heavy duty, super easy installation. Check out the channel. I have the full installation for front and rear. Easy to do on your own with some basic hand tools on your garage floor, in your driveway, or hell, even in the street. Be careful in the street. Obviously, there is a front and rear sway bar. If you're all-wheel drive, this is my recommendation. The all-wheel drive Q50 actually has a pretty substantial front sway bar already. So if you're strapped for cash or you're looking to get the biggest bang for the buck in terms of your modifications, wanting to save up for others, this or that, go with the rear first. That's going to have the biggest impact, both for rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive cars. It's going to have the biggest impact on how the car handles after installation. If you're able to drop the full amount of cash right away on both of them, do both of them. But again, the front sway bar is not as big of a deal in the all-wheel drive Q50 as it is in the rear-wheel drive Q50. Now, the fact that you're here watching this video tells me that you maybe just picked up your Infiniti Q50 and it might be relatively stock, if not completely stock, and therefore you might be wanting to pursue some aesthetic modifications to give the car more of an aggressive, more personalized look. To be fair, there's a bunch of great aesthetic modification options out there. Rear spoilers, front splitters, side splitters, LED turn signals, sequential turn signals, mirror caps, chrome deletes, blackout grills, the whole 9 yards. It's available, it's all out there, it's all relatively inexpensive, so chances are you could probably pursue some of those in addition or at the same time as the two that I recommend here in this video. But there is one other modification that I would recommend in 2026 that is even more important than all of those. You guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and do all that stuff too to this video. I appreciate you helping me get these videos back into the algorithm. People aren't seeing my new stuff lately. Now, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there was an honorable mention, a third modification that I would recommend making to your Q50, but it was sort of silly to include it in the top two because it's sort of common knowledge or common sense at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and give you that one before I get into the most important modification. The honorable mention goes without saying, tires. If you've picked up an older Q50, chances are the factory run flat tires have already been swapped out, and that's a good thing. But if you're getting a car that's relatively stock and you're looking to increase its performance, you might not be happy with some of those general sort of all-weather, all-season tires, right? So you're going to be looking at something like a Continental Extreme Contact, which is good for really all weather, but they're some of the best tires on the market. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's hard to find better. Obviously, everybody's familiar with Michelin PS4Ss for those super high performance tires. I don't really like them all that much. They're not, I mean, they're pretty sticky, but you know, they're not great in the rain. They're not great when the temperatures start to get cool. And I drive my cars all year here in South Carolina, but that's not to say that it doesn't get cold in the winter. So I prefer a tire like a Continental Extreme Contact that's decent in the cold weather. I've run some others over the years that were pretty decent in the winter months here in the South as well. Check out the channel if you're interested in more of those. I go through a bunch of different tire options on the channel in various videos. So take a look when you're done here. All right, here we are. The number one most important modification that you can make to your Infiniti Q50 in 2026 is this. Let's be real, guys. It doesn't really matter how much power you're making if you can't put that power to the ground. That's why tires are really important. But again, silly to include those in the top two, because if you don't, even if you know very, very little about cars and performance, you know that the tires got to be good. But the modification that you can make in 2026 that is going to absolutely have the biggest impact on how your Q50 performs is a Traction Concepts LSD conversion kit. If you're not willing to drop the couple grand on a true LSD, the Traction Concepts LSD conversion kit is going to make a massive, massive difference. It is one of, if not the biggest bang for the buck upgrades you can make to your Q50. We all know at this point, if you've been following along, we know that one of the worst attributes of the Infiniti Q50 is the open differential. You can't get any traction. You can't get any traction. It makes the car unstable. It makes the car unpredictable. It does not allow you to put power it does not allow you to put power to the ground effectively or efficiently, and therefore it is detrimental to the overall performance of your Q50, and that's just something we can't. It's just not something we can stand for. Admittedly, it is more of an involved installation, but have no fear. Have no fear. I have an installation video here on the channel that you can check out. If I can remember, I'll put it at the end screen here, so you can just click from this video right to that one if you're interested in the installation process. While you're in there, you can upgrade your rear diff bushings and do all that kind of stuff, because Lord knows at this point your rear diff bushing for the Q50 has failed. So it's a good time to just take care of a couple of maintenance items while you're in there that are still relatively inexpensive. But this LSD conversion kit will be linked in the description below. Make sure you use SCS 10 off when you go to purchase it, and you'll save 10% off an LSD conversion kit from Traction Concepts. If you're not familiar with an LSD, limited slip differential, what this LSD conversion kit from Traction Concepts is going to do is going to turn your open differential, which when one tire starts to slip, it pulls power from one tire and just transfers it all to the other, and therefore you just spin one tire. If you ever try to do a burnout in a stock Q50, you know you're just spinning one tire, right? Or if you get kind of stuck in the mud or in the grass, it's just spinning one tire. This conversion kit is going to lock both of those axles essentially when the tires start to spin, making them both spin at the same time, and therefore transferring all your power and torque directly to the ground through both tires. So it's going to help you hook off the line a lot better. It's going to help you control the rear end when you're trying to slide it around, you know, doing a little bit of drifting or taking a corner kind of spiritedly. But it's going to become a lot more predictable as well. Like I said, it's going to allow you to control that tail end of the car a little bit better than if you're just spinning one tire. You don't know what the hell's going to happen at any given point. And now that you're able to put all the power and torque to the ground efficiently and effectively with this Traction Concepts LSD conversion kit, you can continue modifying your Q50 to substantially increase the horsepower. And the fact that you've now paired it with a good set of tires, you lowered it on lowering springs or coilovers, you got some Hotchkiss sway bars installed, and you've done some other things to the car, you're really ready to start pushing its limits. And this is just one of those things that's going to ensure everything is working together and you're not slip sliding around. You're putting that power to the ground. So yes, there's absolutely no doubt that it is very tempting to choose from the plethora of good and important upgrades for your Infiniti Q50. There are two for 2026 that I recommend above all else. Of course, again, that's the Traction Concepts LSD conversion kit. Don't forget to use SCS 10 off to save 10% on your kit, and check out the installation video at the end of this video. And number two on the list, of course, is sway bars by Hotchkiss, AFE. I think Z1 might have sway bars for the Q50 now at this point. They're all kind of in the same realm. Easy to install, makes a massive difference. Focus on the rear sway bar first if you need to go one or the other. If not, do both. You'll love how the car feels. Guys, if you're new to the channel, I have about 500 Infiniti Q50 specific videos here on the channel check out those playlists. You might find something that you're interested in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate the support, guys. There's more stuff coming for the channel, and there might even be some more Q50 content, so stick around. See you in the next one.